I'm Gabriel Guardian
I'm Carlos Zema
of Immortal Guardian, and you're watching the Rockin' Round Table.
Hi, welcome to the Rockin' Round Table. Today, we are honored to have Carlos and Gabriel here from the band Immortal Guardian.
Yeah, the honor's all ours, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming out here and hanging out and talking with us.
Yes.
And remember to stay on because we're going to have a giveaway of their new album.
Unite and conquer.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're going to come
Over
back to
here.
that later.
Yes.
Yeah, so speaking of that, you have a new album coming out. But before I want to talk about that, I want to mention the band. I mean, you guys are obviously locals here in Las Vegas. And then you have Joshua in California.
Yep.
And
Yes.
Justin in Canada, Montreal, Canada, right?
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah. So how is that? Do you ever rehearse or it never happens really, right?
Well, we never rehearse, that's for sure. We'd love to rehearse, but we just don't. Typically for a tour, we'll all meet in Vegas if we can. Like the last tour, we didn't even get to meet up in Vegas. It was just like
We met in Denver.
Everybody do your homework, and
Hope for the best.
Hope for the best, yeah. I learned that from, I remember one of the first times I ever met Camelot, my buddy Thomas, the guitar player, Thomas Youngblood.
Yeah.
I told him, I was like, hey man, so you got band members all over the world. How do you make it happen when it's time to do a tour? And he said something along the lines like, everybody just does their homework. And if you don't do your homework, you're gonna look real stupid. It's gonna be obvious, So like I've always kind of gone with that mentality of like, well, as long as everybody plays everything the way it was, recorded on the record, technically we should all, blend. But we do a lot of internet communication, man. We talk every day. Our messages are like super, super long. Especially when it came to writing this record and recording it.
Over 3,000 messages back and forth.
Yeah,
man.
like
Oh, wow.
video
like hundreds
messages,
of video messages.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So everything that we do for the record or for rehearsing or whatever is literally like thousands of video messages on Facebook or on WhatsApp or whatever, going like, "Hey Justin," and I'm like recording the screen instead of going I need you to go and like, oh, like this, and then he sends me a video back and forth, and it's literally that.
Wow.
For months. It's
is
pretty
so
surreal. Like we make an entire
months, yeah.
record before I even see his face in person.
Because not to mention that we're in super different time zones
That
too,
too.
right?
All right.
When we wrote other albums, for example, I was in Brazil, Josh in Texas, him in Vegas,
Yeah.
Montreal was with Justin, and we were just like doing that at the same time, trying to make it happen.
Well, it's a good
Yeah.
thing to hold people accountable for
Definitely.
for being professional and
Yeah.
making sure they're prepared. And whenever you go out on tour or whenever you record a new song,
Yeah.
if you everybody has to suffer if you're not prepared, if you don't know your
Yeah,
shit.
you trust that the team is pro.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. You got to trust that they're pro. I mean, if you're not working with pros, you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
we get asked all the time, why don't you just have band members that are from Vegas? Isn't it so much easier to get a guy down the street, But
Not that can play that
in
shit.
the long run, it's totally worth it to have, even though this dude's all the way in another country, even though we got to deal with the visa life and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's so worth having somebody who not only is incredibly talented at their instrument, Josh and Justin, but we know we can just rely on them, And any real touring band will tell you like the dynamic of getting along on the road and all that is like more important than anything,
Yeah.
'Cause you could put four talented dudes together, but if they don't get along personally, the whole thing will just become a big nightmare. So these are four dudes that we can spend hours with every day for like 2 months straight, and we're all still friends. We never it's a perfect lineup. So it's worth
We
it
enjoy,
to fight for all these flights and stuff to make a tour happen, as
Yeah.
opposed to like. Trust me, everyone's asked us, we just get a guy down the street. We're like, no, it's not worth it,
Not only because of the asset versus liability, but also in the personal level,
Yeah, you have to
those
have
dudes are
chemistry.
like our, younger brothers as per se, like it's You know, they're super pros. We trust them 100% that they're going to go there and kill it, you know? And at the same time, we know for a fact that when they come in, they know their focus, you know? Like it's really hard to like be in the business with people that are in the business with you with not the same reasons as you are.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard to like, okay, so why are you in the music? Oh, I'm for the party, for the girls, for this and that. It's like, I don't think that's, you know what I'm saying? Like we're in the music because of the music, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, if the other guys are not there for the music, it doesn't feel like you're doing the right thing, you know?
Right.
So it's,
Yeah, because the thing, what I hear about musicians who are professional, like you guys are, is like, I don't have a choice. This is my passion. I have to do this.
Yep.
If I
Yeah.
don't do this, I will not, you know.
What else will you
yeah,
do?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Sit around at home.
It feels
Yeah.
like you're kind of like, after being in music for so many years, like, so is Gabriel, you know, like he started with when he professionally when he was like 11.
Like 12, I started playing my first bar gigs. Yeah.
I started when I was 14, you know? So like we don't know a different world, man, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
we were raised within musicians with all our friends and older cousins and our families and you know what I'm saying? So it's like it's hard for us we feel kind of like misplaced when we're not like around music and the jams and you know.
Right.
So yeah.
And speaking of that, I mean, how did you pick it up? I mean, you were both in musical families, as I understand. But when did you know that? Okay, I love this. When did you know you had talent? And
What happened with you?
Yeah, like with in my family, everybody plays something, right? My dad is a drummer, a great drummer. So naturally, he taught us, like all us brothers, me and my two brothers, how to play the drums in the beginning.
Yeah.
So we all learned how to play, you know, basic AC/DC kind of beat. But my brother just got really good super fast. And he was like way better than me. And when we kind of wanted to start a band, and it's very similar to like the Van Halen story. It was like we're both drummers and we wanted to be in a band together, but he's like, there can't be two drummers, and I'm better than you, so you know you got to figure something out. So I was like, you know, I guess I'll start learning guitar, and then I started playing guitar, like just playing pop punk with my brother, and then I think one day I saw that Rock in Rio Iron Maiden DVD like being sold on TV, like one of those infomercials. And I was like, what the hell was that? And we bought the record and that's how we discovered metal. And then I just got addicted to like challenging myself to learn like these really difficult songs. And next thing you know, like, especially when you're a really awkward kid and you have like a hard time with girls and you have a hard time making friends and this and that. Yeah. And then you start playing guitar and everyone wants to be your friend. You're like, yo, this instrument rocks. Like, not only is it fun, but it develops a whole life for you, you know? And I played like Eruption at my 6th grade talent show. And that feeling of being in front of a crowd, like a big crowd in like a gymnasium of kids for the first time, you're just like, whoa, this is something I want to do forever, you know? And
is there a video out there about that?
Yeah, there's a video somewhere out there. I gotta post it, but yeah,
I want to see that.
The very first performance was I played like the national anthem and like Eruption or something, and then I started doing keyboards just out of like I discovered power metal. I loved the sound of power metal keyboards, the strings and the synth solos and the Jens Johansson kind of crazy stuff and Dream Theater stuff. And I was like, man, it's my dream to have a keyboardist. And being from a little small Texas town where number one, no one plays power metal, the chance of finding a keyboardist is even harder. One that's your age that also likes metal. It was just not going to happen. So I was like, you know what? I'll play keyboards for now. And then once I find somebody one day, you know, I'll just go to guitar. Yeah. And then that day just never came. And I just got better and better at the keys. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm the keyboardist too. And that's kind of how it all happened. Yeah, like when I started playing both. And I started doing them at the same time just out of, I was trying to learn a melody from the keyboard onto the guitar. And the keyboard had this light up, you know, one of those pianos that has the light up notes. Oh, yeah. So it's like you just follow the melody, like, and you just follow it. Dun, dun, dun. Well, I want to learn that on guitar, so it'd be dun, 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 dun. And I'm doing them at the same time without realizing I'm doing them at the same time. I was just trying to teach myself something from those light up keys onto the guitar. And if the notes match, that means I'm doing it right. Does that make sense? So I started doing this, and some of my buddies that were at my house were like, dude, what are you doing? That's so sick. You should do that at the talent show. I was like, oh, you think so? Like, yeah, it would be really funny. So I came up with the whole skit to as a joke. It was supposed to be funny. And then after I did it, no one laughed. Everyone was like, dude, that was super awesome. And I was like, oh, I think I got something going on here. And then this new website at the time called YouTube came out. And then the rest is history. I just kept making videos, and it came out in like E-Bomb's world, like early internet days, you know? So like, that's literally how I ended up here.
Straight to MTV after that.
Exactly. The MTV show. I mean, I want to talk about that too, you know, when you ended up there. But before that, so you created this kind of unique skill that I don't know anyone else who did it before you that I can remember. And I don't know if anyone today can do it. I seen the guy from Dream Theater. He's trying on his own.
He's killer.
And I understand he reached out to you to talk about it.
Oh
right?
man, yeah. That's like I've been a big Dream Theater fan my whole life, dude. So once he started doing it, people were tagging me in his videos and tagging him in my videos. And he just messaged you one day like, hey, what's up? Nice to meet you. I was like, I just melted in my chair, dude. I was like, what? You know, it's like we're doing the same thing. I was like, no, we're not. You're in Dream Theater.
Oh man.
But you know, it's just that was a really cool moment. But
yeah,
I've always seen the guitar keyboard thing. I've always treated it kind of like how Eddie Van Halen treated tapping. You know, he always say like, I didn't invent tapping. It's just something I did and I got known for it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about the guitar keyboard thing. Like, I'm more than positive somebody was doing it in the 80s or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I just started, I did it in a small town in Texas before I knew anyone else did it. I did it because I liked it. I liked harmonizing myself because I couldn't find a keyboardist. And then over the years, and especially now with Instagram and all these social medias, somebody sees it, they get inspired, they do it themselves. I think that's super cool. You know?
Yeah.
I kind of felt like that too back in like, it was like 92 when I was putting the growls and melodic vocals together. You know what I'm saying? And nobody really at the time were doing like operatic kind of vocals with the growls in the same band. They were not as a one guy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I kind of felt like that.
And now that's
too.
the thing.
Like,
I mean, it's like every other band does that now. So
yeah.
And speaking of that, so when did you realize that you wanted to be a singer? When did you start singing? Were you just a baby? Or
Well, I don't know. I think my singing came out of like the sense of wanting to be a rebel kind of deal. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because my mom and my dad were great singers. You know, they used to sing when I was growing up, but they just did not want me to be a musician.
Oh, okay.
I was complete different opposite scenarios. Gabriel, like I didn't really have like, you know, a back up of, you know,
from your parents?
From my parents, you know, at the time, which and they ended up passing away kind of early in my life, you know, and I went into, you know, I think if I didn't have music at the time, you know, I would be lost, you know. So that's when I really got really deep into music, like even deeper, you know, because there was somewhat of my shelter, I guess, you know, at the time, going through having a younger sister and younger brother in the picture, and, you know, having all those responsibilities, you know, and everything. And I don't know. I think music was what always held everything together. You know?
It gave you strength and kind of a therapy in a way.
Yeah, and a sense of you know, not only togetherness and forming my own family through music. You know.
Yeah.
You know, like us. You know, like you know, like this friendship and this sense of, you know, congregation, you know, it's it comes from metal, you know. And on my first concert, when I was performing my first year, when I was 14 years old, I did 78 shows that first year.
Oh goodness.
And then from there it just went smashing right after that. But during that period of time, I almost felt like, you know, there was that sense of, you know, I don't want to be like my whole entire family of doctors and engineers looking down on me because I'm a musician, you know? I'm a metalhead, and so what, you know? And then like they got to live with it.
Yeah, right.
That's how it all started. And on my first concert when I was only 14, we almost destroyed the whole school with a show, man. The kids it was in a whole riot was started. And they called the cops and everything. And
Oh, really?
was,
That bad?
my mom was present, you know, watching everything. And you know, it was kind of shocking, like for her to see that. But for me, it was like, man, is this that power of metal that my older cousins were talking about? So this is pretty much.
It's like, I'm in.
I think that's how I felt. Like, man, I finally feel like I feel like I belong somewhere. That's how I felt, right?
Yeah, and
it's
that's the thing.
like that.
You know, it's like everybody's saying the heavy metal or the metal rock family. It's like because you can see someone on the street like having a Immortal Guardian T-shirt or Slayer or Metallica. It's like, hey, brother. It's like this kind of.
Bro, you look at each other across the room, man, and you raise the horns, and brother, man, you raise the horns, bro. It's like this is strong
community.
It's dude.
Just,
You know what's crazy is if you really think about it, like all three of us are from three different countries, three different parts of the world.
Yeah, dude.
And we're only sitting at this table because we're all into metal.
yeah, that's true.
It's a crazy thought.
Yeah.
You have a channel because you listen to metal. I have a channel, or I'm an artist because we play metal, and we're literally here because
this is where we belong, you know?
Yeah, this is where we belong. And,
bro. Yeah.
And I mean, I got into, when I was young, my brother, I remember this so well. My brother bought a Black Sabbath album and brought it home. And it's like, come into my room and listen to this and put on the song Black Sabbath. It's starting with that, you know, the rain and the church. And I'm like, what is this? It's like, I don't want to be here. While I lock the doors, you're going to listen.
Baptized by fire.
Right. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. And I think I was 6 or 7 years old. And that was it. And then I remember when I was 7 years old, I bought my first 45, which was the band called The Sweet, a British band.
Yeah.
And the song was Fox on the Run. And I'm like, oh yeah. This is awesome. Yeah. And that's just how it started. And then I never left. I mean, then you had Iron Maiden, you had Sax and Judas Priest, obviously, all these bands. So it has followed me through the years with music and Dio and Rainbow and, you know, all these bands. And I was always into this melodic with great vocals, right? Really good vocals, like Ronnie James Dio is a good example, Rob Halford. And it was just maybe 10 years ago I started listening to Arch Enemy.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the first time I kind of really appreciated the growl, that type of vocals. And I'm like, wow, this is not that bad.
Yeah.
Made with excellence.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, and speaking of, you know, we're sitting here at the table and we are good friends. And I remember the first time I met you at NAMM.
Oh, that's right.
It was I was there.
Hotel room party.
Yeah, hotel room party. That was Schechter, right?
Yeah, it was. I don't even remember, but I remember meeting you and Dragon Force and like everyone in this like tiny like 10 by 10 room. Scrubbed up in there.
That's when I met you too, right? Yeah. The first time, or
I think it was the first time. Or was that the second time maybe? The year after. I can't remember exactly, but that was, you know,
because you lived in Austin as well, right?
I did, yes.
Yeah, so did it.
I lived in Austin.
So did we.
Yeah, and the reason I came to NAMM was with my friend Bjorn Englund, who you know as well.
Yeah, good friend of mine too. Yeah.
Yeah, so we had a great time, and you know, I would not been in this party, you know, the Schechter party, if it wasn't for him, because I had no connection to anyone in the industry, but through him I went everywhere, like backstage at the whiskey and you know,
awesome,
all these things.
Dude. Yeah.
And I told her the other day, I was at the Rainbow, and Bjorn said, "Well, come, we're gonna eat pizza here with these guys." It was these Half Moon booths, right? And I was sitting next to Don Dawkin.
Nice.
And I was like,
here we are.
Yeah, right.
That's awesome. Man.
Yeah, so funny story, but it's interesting. So back to Immortal Guardian again, because you guys know I've been a fan of you guys such a long time, since the first time I heard you guys.
Thanks, bro.
Because power metal, I got into power metal with Halloween. Back
Same
in
here.
1988. I will never forget when I heard Keeper of the Seven Keys for the first time.
Yeah.
And then you guys have the same energy, the great vocals, the guitar playing, and the double bass drums, and I just love it. So, and I remember I can't remember if I actually saw you guys, but you played at the X Games on that truck.
Yep.
2014,
The shred
right?
sled.
Yeah,
Yep.
in Austin,
The
Texas.
shred sled, yeah.
So I have a memory of that, but I don't think the memory was actually watching you if it was watching the video. But that's a side note.
We were live on ESPN national
you
TV.
were?
Yeah, we
It started
were.
raining on, dude.
Yeah.
Like, funny story. We set up the whole thing and we're ready to go. We're on standby. Camera guy, he's like,
It was a
"Wait,
sunny
guys."
day, brother. I
Sunny,
swear.
clear as day in the world. And then he just goes, "All right, you guys ready? Ready to play the song?" And 5, 4, 3, action. And you could see our faces
Solid
on the
rain,
TV.
bro.
You can see our faces in the first
Solid.
second, like, what do we do? Like, oh my God, it's ready. And then we just started the song and we're rocking out. We're having a good time. But in that moment, I remember just like, I had internal tears, like, holy crap, all my gear is being ruined, just completely soaked, And
Completely soaked.
Yeah, at the end of, and we played one song on TV. So by the end of that one song, it stops raining. And it's just like, are you kidding me, dude? It's like one little cloud just kind of to make the scene a little more metal.
Right.
And I remember getting my keyboard, turning it upside down, and and
We
bucket of
yeah.
water's coming out of it.
Bro, we
Did it
played
break?
like 12 sets in 3 days during X Games event.
yeah.
And some sets were like 20 minutes, some were like 45 minutes. So we're just
playing all day on that moving shred sled.
Oh yeah,
It
yeah.
Sponsored-
did not rain, but when we went live on TV, bro,
Yeah.
The-
it rained.
Yeah.
But you know what? We were under the rain. We were just going down. Then one of our sponsors just came down, and he was yelling at me, and I took one of the in-ears out, and I hear him saying, "Screw the gear. Keep going." Because, I mean, honestly, like a second of national TV on ESPN will be a lot more than all the gear together. So he
Yeah.
was like, "Screw
Just
the
keep
gear,
going."
keep going, man.
Yeah.
Keep going." If anything like burns down. So I felt like that peace in my heart.
Yeah.
But then I looked at Gabriel and still saw
Yeah,
his
I'm just
face and I
like-
couldn't tell him. You know what I'm saying? But it deep down in my heart, it was like, let's fucking rock. And what happened though? Like, we were in front of motocross. And then and then it started raining that whole
all that dirt with the water, just everything became muddy. So that wasn't just like wet; you were muddy now, and it was crazy.
Bro, it was gnarly. But the kids were coming on the breachers, like on the fence, and going and rocking out. I was like,
Yeah,
let's do this. This is X Games, baby. You know what I'm saying? So that was
so
awesome.
cool.
That was really cool. Man.
That's so awesome. And speaking of that, because I remember you guys, I mean, obviously you two, but there were other members of the band at that time. So has there been a lot of members going through the bands through the years, or?
No, not really. Like, and
Not
we've been
really.
with this lineup since what?
It's 2 albums now.
Yeah,
we
2
have
albums
3
already.
albums.
It's
Oh,
three
yeah.
albums. Yeah,
Yeah.
one more
Yeah.
coming out. So
Okay.
it's been this lineup for a few years already.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I know you are tight with them, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And about the albums, so I know that you, if I remember correctly, what you told me, Gabriel, that before COVID, you already had recorded an album that you kind of scrapped.
Yeah, so like
True.
And recorded
believe it or not,
Psychosomatic.
this record we started working on it in 2019, the end of 2019.
Yeah.
So right before the pandemic, and we weren't done with it, but we were almost done, and we were putting final touches. And then we're like, all right, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna tour it? Are we gonna? I don't know. Let's see. What we're gonna do with it in 2020.
Yeah.
March comes around because we had tours scheduled, so it was like, let's do the tours, and then we'll worry about getting the record out. And then when the whole world was canceling all the shows and tours and stuff, I was like, damn, we're literally, our whole plan got turned upside down. And what are we going to do? Put out this record, and then we're not even going to be able to tour it.
Yeah.
So, and none of us, of course, knew how long this pandemic or this shutdown was going to be. So everyone at the time in the band hated me because I was just like, hey guys, I think we should write a new record. And they're like, we literally just did that. What are you talking about? We literally just
But
finished
there
an
was
album.
a very important point though. When you said
Yeah.
it, I totally thought, and I was like, yeah, dude. Because I mean, imagine with the whole pandemic coming out, and then we're like, oh yeah, let's unite. And no, it's like, what do you call it? The
message of
whole
the album-
distancing, the social distancing thing, and we're talking about uniting. People are going to think that we are like, I don't know. I'm not even going to get into the subject, but see what I mean.
The whole concept of the record, because all our records have like a concept. We don't have like a concept album where it's like one big storyline from song to song, but each song is kind of related into one
theme,
general
yeah.
theme.
Yeah.
And the theme of this record, this album was originally called Roots Run Deep, and then after we wrote a few more songs for it, we're like, let's call it Unite and Conquer, and it started making sense that way. But regardless of it, just the whole theme that we were trying to like envision made no sense at all during the pandemic. Like I always tell people, it's like we wrote a Christmas album and then in December, all of a sudden it's July. And you're like, whoa, hey.
Yeah.
Like this doesn't make sense to put out right now. This would be really weird and everyone will hate us because it just doesn't
Make any sense?
doesn't make sense. So when we wrote Psychosomatic, I was like, well, let's just do exactly what we did with this record. And we'll just, while we're living through this one of a kind moment in history, let's write about what we're going through, from being locked down to like the depression that everyone's feeling, not seeing people, not
All
going
the
to concerts,
phobias, all the fears.
yeah. So we literally wrote an entire new record from our homes over video messaging with the two new guys in the band, you know, and and then we put that whole record out. And then once that went out, we did the whole touring cycle for Psychosomatic, this and that. It was like, all right, let's go back to these songs and kind of see where we were. And then all of a sudden, and just because we waited, what's crazy is like some of these songs were written in 2019. Some of them were written just not long ago to like, because we needed a few more songs to finish the length of an album.
Yeah.
But it's crazy how like the concept makes it's more relevant now than ever. And
totally
we definitely
is.
didn't plan it that way. But like, yeah, with all the stuff going on in the world right now,
All
the
these
lyrics are
wars
super-
and conflicts and everything.
you know, it hits right on the nail of like the theme of this record, where the last one was about the pandemic and all that stuff. This one's more about just kind of the chaos in the world happening.
Yeah.
From war to things outside of war, you know, like things just social problems we have, political problems, religious problems.
Yeah.
I mean, we're so divided right now more than ever.
Yeah.
So this record was something that we were like, man, let's talk about that. Let's talk about all the crazy shit in the world that is making us all kill each other and hate each other. Where if you really think about it, we're all the same people. Like it's like metalheads, right?
Yeah.
The one beautiful thing about metal is like, especially when you go to a metal concert, is everybody, like you said, is a family.
Yeah.
A guy falls in the mosh pit, you pick him right back up.
Yeah.
You don't care what that guy's religion or whatever is.
Yeah.
You know, you just pick him up.
It's a
because he's a
Straight
brother.
up, straight up.
And it's like,
yeah.
how do you put that into words? Like that metal, like family message. How do you put that into words? So that's kind of what I would say we did
title
here.
is so good then when you
Yep.
think about it.
man. Yeah, because we all know the quote "divide and conquer," right?
Yeah.
Which is this direct relationships from the powers that be with we the people. You know, so basically this is what that is about. But this is the time that we have a generation here now that we know because of technology, because of the new research power that we have for information, for history, for explanation for certain things that were kind of like mistold throughout history, right? So nowadays we do question those things. And this is the moment that we have as a generation to say, all right, guys, we all have like many reasons to get in a conflict against each other. It could be the color of your skin, it could be your nationality, it could be your religion, it could be so many things. We have a list of things, right? But if you stop to think about, instead of reasons why we should divide, and now understand that we're all in this together, if we will all be together as a people here, without nationality, without a language, without color of skin, when you go all the way down to our skull, we're all the same. You know what I'm saying? It really doesn't matter, right? So this is what Unite and Conquer is, right? So this is what we're trying to conquer here, the unity that we missed when we first started as human beings. You know what I'm saying? So what happened here? What are we missing?
The thing that hit me the hardest, I think, in the process of this record, or kind of like coming up with ideas for the songs and stuff, was when we went on tour to Russia, like in 2018, 19,
And we
something
had
like
the
that.
best times of our lives,
And
bro.
and we got to
We
go
have
with
great friends there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
like local Russian people were taking us around to experience this and this and that. And it was just the most amazing experience, right?
Yeah.
And they're just warm people. They're really kind
Super
people.
sweet.
And it was just like, wow, you know, after watching a million James Bond movies, it's easy to think that Russia will be a certain way, right? And then this whole Russian war happens. And then here in the States, a lot of people that are friends and not friends of mine, man, screw the Russians, man. What are they doing this? And then everyone's getting mad at the whole country. And I'm like, no, you don't realize that it's like
it's not the people's decision.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's like this small
Yeah.
group of leaders are making these decisions, and for you to hate an entire country because of what a small group of assholes are doing, that's not what represents
It's so ignorant.
the entire people. So kind of
Honestly.
seeing it with your own two eyes, seeing people from around the world and being like, man, they're just like us. Yet some people want to put the blame on the whole thing. And that's how it is for America too. There's people from the outside looking at us going, screw all Americans. And then I realize it's a small percentage of people that are ruining it for everybody. So that to me is like one of the number one things that we were trying to express is like in the self-titled song Unite and Conquer, it says we're all the same, you know, like it doesn't, we're literally all the same people, just in different places. And if you can see past that, then you can.
Yeah. I love that you have, first off, I love that you explain this for us now. And we're going to obviously post this so people will understand. Because for someone who picks up this album, just see, okay, it's a cool title. But they don't know the reasoning behind how you came up with it, what it means to you, and what the songs mean. So that's really important. And I'm super grateful that you told us here now, and just, wow. Now I feel even more,
It's a lot bigger than that, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
man. It's a lot bigger than us, Like, honestly, I just did a musical with a friend of mine down in California where I was in this place with a bunch of Ukrainian people and Russian people in the same table, eating together. We're jamming the music together, you know what I'm saying? Like, coming from a background where I have Palestinians and Israelis in the family, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just like, I don't know. To me, it doesn't really make sense. Like I said, we are a new generation here, right? We're talking about conflicts that have been going on for hundreds and some of them for thousands of years. And I don't think that there's a reason why to like keep going with this sort of conflicts. Like we're talking about, this is 2023, guys. I mean, what are we talking about, right? We've learned with our mistakes here. And history still keeps repeating itself, right? So when are we really going to learn? Is that like necessary for an artificial intelligence to come in and say, you were wrong?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Maybe it will eventually.
Go for singularity.
Yeah.
But that's the concept of this whole you guy.
Yeah. No, I'm, and I've obviously you have released 6 videos so far, right? From this album.
Yes. And we're planning. Our goal is to have a video for every single song. You know?
Yeah.
If we make it, awesome. If we don't, we tried. But I don't. I know our label and a lot of other bands are like, "What are you doing, man? You do 2 videos and you call it." But we're like, we've all gotten so good at shooting ourselves. Like we're all content creators, so we all know how to like produce at like little to no budget. So we're like, if we have the skills to do it, why not make another video? Why not make another video?
Right.
You know, so. And the videos just kind of help the song give it a visual message. So like, and especially in this day and age, 2023, we understand how important it is to have some kind of visual aspect to go with the music, So we went hard on the videos, that's for sure.
I think that's smart because YouTube obviously that's how you reach out to to the audience today. I mean, Spotify and Apple Music, but it's not really as impactful as YouTube is, right? And all the shorts and reels and stuff like that.
Yep.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
And speaking of the videos, I mean, first off, I love the video you did for Echoes.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
That's
Thanks,
so awesome. But also, speaking of Roots Run Deep, first off, your vocals in the beginning there, the deep vocals. Yeah. That is absolutely incredible.
Thank you
And
so
then you
much.
have Ralf Scheepers
Oh yeah.
Yes.
as a guest vocalist on that song.
Super
Yes,
freaking
the
epic.
man, the legend.
The legend.
We were
right?
just talking about him
Yeah.
earlier, right?
Yeah, we did,
he's such a. We did a tour together down when I released an album with Metal Mike, the guitar player for Rob Halford. We did an album together and we went on tour with John Macaluso on the drums from Symphony X, Art, Yarnland, and some other guys, James Labrie. And so we did that tour together and with Primal Fear. So when they came down, we were hanging out. This is back in 2010, I believe. And we're touring the same bus at a part of the tour. And we got you bro down and whatnot. I've been a huge fan of his stuff since, Gamma Ray and whatnot. So, and then I hit him up, man. And it was like, dude, we got this song, man. And I would love if you would sing this song with us, man. He was like, sure, man, send me the song. Let me see what I can do. 2 days later, he had the song recorded and the video and everything. Like, bam, bam. What do you
We're
think?
expecting like a month or something. No, boom, boom. Like
What
2
do you
days.
think? Yeah,
Crazy.
dude. It was like, what do you think? And we watched and we're like, what? That was amazing.
No
Yeah, dude.
revisions, no nothing. He was like, anything you need different? Nope, that was perfect. Just holy crap.
That's a professional for you,
Yeah,
right?
bro. So pro.
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
It's been around. Yeah, and that video is really cool. I love that. I want to talk about a couple of other things as well. So when it comes to vocals and your guitar playing, so number one, vocals. I mean, the lyrics you guys write, they are very, storytelling style. So how do you remember all those lyrics? Do you have a monitor on stage just to keep?
No. But usually for these songs, for example, like by the time that I am recording, me and Gabriel sat there for hours and hours, like we bounced, ideas between each other and whatnot. And by the time that, I'm recording that song, I probably sung it a few hundred times.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because we're changing the lyrics and whatnot. And by the time that, because we're all not only like searching for the message of the lyrics when we write, but we have usually a melody already ready to go before we write the lyrics. So we know that the vocal melody is going to go like this. So we know the spaces that we're going to fill with the lyrics, right? But now we're going to decide on a dynamic that we're going to put the emphasis in. What am I saying here? Because I can say, I am very happy. Or I can say, I am very sad. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't really match, right? So it's so we do search for like the interpretation on everything that we sing, everything that we write. So the melody and the vibe got to match what I'm saying. So we do that a lot. So by the time that I'm going to go record, but if I need to do some work last minute, we're adding a certain song, I'm not opposed to like have the lyrics on the ground there just to cue me in on the first sentence of every verse, so I kind of like But usually when I'm going on tour with Immortal Guardian, I got that set down, man. And if I did my homework, if I really sung because I try to, for a whole entire month before hitting the road on tour, I try to sing the whole set twice.
Okay.
Because I know if every night I can sing the set twice, I can sing it once when I'm on tour, right? It's pretty safe, right? In terms of vocal stamina. So if I'm doing that preparation, you'll be singing a few dozens of times before you hit the stage for it. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of repetition before it happens. So you memorize by osmosis.
And to me, it's also, me personally, it's easier to remember something that you made.
It's true.
Like,
Very true.
So like I play with my girl, we play covers around town and stuff.
Same
and
here.
And when I'm playing other people's music, I'm like, does that song have F or a D, and you have to kind of think like someone else.
Yeah.
But when there'll be Immortal Guardian songs from like our first record that I haven't played in like years, and we're like, oh, let's add it to this tour, set list.
Yeah.
And like the first time I play it, I do it just right because it's
You
like I
just
wrote
nail it.
this. Like
Yeah.
I'm just kind of going off of like, what did it feel like? What does it feel like to play it? And I usually get it right the first time because that's what I felt like when I wrote it too. As opposed to like, if we're covering like a Dio song, you got to kind of like see how did Dio do it, or how did you kind of got to review. But
yeah, especially for a singer, right?
Yeah.
It's a different register. You're just working on somebody else's voice, a different range, and then you got to readapt the key for you. And if you don't, it's just too high or too low. So it's like it's so many variables, right?
Yeah, I can just imagine. Yeah.
When you sing your own thing, I mean, in good days, I have 6 octave range.
Yeah.
On bad days, 5. But
That's not too shabby anyway.
it's not too shabby. But at the same time, like there are a couple, we were just talking about that the other day. Gabriel's shredding on vocals now, right?
Yeah.
And he's discovering like his parts of like his vocal tessiture that makes sense with certain grit, certain parts that don't, they're out of his vocal break and everything. So he's learned that. So the physical aspect of things, man, the biological that it's involved with the vocals is, kind of tricky.
But think about this guy, right?
I know.
He started with guitar.
Got bored.
And then, okay, I'm just going to learn how to play a keyboard as well. And now he's singing like a MF.
He's killing it. Totally killing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's impressive. And regarding your guitar playing and your keyboard playing, do you ever improvise live, or is it according to the album recorded?
I usually try to get close to the album. There might be some moments where like, oh, I feel like kind of just doing a little something here, like, but I've always been the kind of dude that when I go see my favorite bands, like if I go see like Iron Maiden or whatever, and this motherfucker's playing a totally different melody, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I want to hear the thing, I'm not saying they do that, but like, as a fan, I've always grown up kind of wanting to hear what I heard on the record. Not exactly, I get it. It's going to be a little different, but more or less the same. So I try to be on the other side, think the same way when I'm putting performances. Like, okay, if someone that came to the show really liked the way the solo goes, I'm going to try to give them that solo.
No.
There are a couple of the guys that, go out that never play the same exact thing, right? And they make their name
like
for
Ingrid
it.
Malmsteen. He's
Exactly,
like, I
one of
never
those.
played it. And when I hear Far Beyond the Sun, I want to hear it exactly the way I said.
Yep. That's a perfect example. It's like us guitar players that grew up with that song. We know how to mouth every part of the solo. And when you're live, you're kind of like, okay.
Yeah, what happened there?
That's an interesting take. But in your mind, you just feel like something's wrong, but it's not wrong because it's still Ingve playing. But it's all preference, right? But for me, I like to like improvise in the moments where it doesn't seem that crucial for it to be the melody. But if it's like that's the theme, that's what people know, like that's the part of the song that stands out the most, and I'm gonna try my best to do it like that.
No, I totally get it. And speaking of lyrics and remembering lyrics, I saw at Counts Vamp was a show with I think it was Last in Line, and I talked to Andrew Freeman afterwards. No, it was actually, he was playing with George Lynch. He was, I can't remember what the name was at that time. George Lynch had in between Lynch Mob, right? But anyway, I asked him, so how do you just came in here like 2 days ago. How did you remember, learn all the entire set list with lyrics? It's like, no, I just listen to the song, the melodies, and then I have a prompter here. So I just know, how it's supposed to sound like, and then I have the words on the screen here in front of me.
Yeah, Rob Halford does that. Bruce Dickinson does that.
Oh yeah,
Axl Rose does that.
We knew Ozzy.
That I've seen with Ozzy.
Since
everybody, honestly, everybody, man. Yeah. Bon Jovi. You name it, everybody. But it's usually hidden, right? So it's not like on your mic stand or on the iPad.
Yeah, it's like
cover band style, just on an iPad.
Big 20,
but honestly,
screen.
lots of singers out there, like I honestly, with Immortal Guardian, I've never used the teleprompt with Immortal Guardian.
Yeah.
I have used before in certain places where, especially where I don't have any time at all to prepare for the material.
Right.
Sometimes I am just subbing for somebody, let me know like a day before, 2 days before. They're kind of like, you know what I'm saying? For those things, I mean, obviously, we're just talking about that the other day too. Because he's singing a bunch of songs, right? And most of them memorized. And I don't even think that he even reads it. But the thing is that sometimes you're going to show up in a place and somebody's going to show up with $500 in their hand and saying, play
that's
Free Bird. Yeah. And I'm going to learn Free Bird real quick. You know what I'm saying? It just depends on the situation.
Yeah, I know you have had that experience.
Yeah, we've had those a few times, especially here in Vegas, man.
Yeah.
People will be waving all sorts of money, and you're like, well, I kind of know how it goes.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, make it happen, right?
Yeah.
And speaking of your cover bands, I mean, you play in 2 cover bands, and you at least one I know about, Rocksperience.
Yes.
And you have Iconic and Neon Nights.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which is the same band, but due to like contracts and booking agents, the way things work,
Right.
Band names are like exclusive to this guy and this guy, but it's the same band. It's just like, oh, you can't be that name when you're playing here.
And also you play with Indie.
And I play with my buddy Indy Florentino.
Yeah.
And another few bands too. It's
Yeah,
like, this guy
pretty much
plays with
I'm
a
a
few
band
people.
whore when it comes to Vegas. You know, just play with anybody that needs some help and
Anyone who pays.
got the budget. Yeah. But it's fun, you
Pay
know.
well, you know.
Yeah.
It's a very, very fun thing to do for a living now. Being a musician in Vegas or a cover band or whatever is a whole nother experience compared to doing it anywhere else. Like back when I was a teenager, I played in cover bands in South Texas and in Austin, Texas, and I got to kind of experiment with it. And it was always kind of like, oh, this is fun. We're like a bar band, you know, and we get a few beers and like, you know, $50 or something. But in Vegas, like when I saw like, you know, the very first gig I ever did as a cover band was for Oz Fox from Striper. He was going on tour or something. He was like, hey, can you cover for me? I'm like,
was that a heart attack?
In a cover, I was like, in a cover band?
Yeah.
Like, you're what? Yes, of course. I'd love to, you know. And I started meeting all these other incredible musicians that are legends with their own band, but they all play covers at home because, number one, it's super fun. Mm-hmm. Number two, it pays well in Vegas. And number three, for my personal reason for doing this, besides doing something else, or why I rather play covers is my chops are so tight. Like
Super
I
true.
feel like
Yeah.
it's like a musician's gym. When you're doing this all year long, you just get so much better at performing. So when it's time to dust off the old Immortal Guardian boots, like, all right, time, the tour's coming up, you know, in 2 months.
Easy, man.
Yeah.
You're already ready to go.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you're already like, you don't have to like build that stamina again. You're just like, I could go on tour tomorrow and I'll be totally fine.
Yeah.
But in the past, it would be like, once I tour in 2 months, okay, better start, you know, getting ready now.
Yeah, it's
So
true. Yeah,
that's the nice feeling is you feel like you're always on top of your game.
Yeah.
Very important.
And then we saw you guys the other week, Rocksperience, and, you know, killing those Bon Jovi, Iron Maiden,
Aerosmith,
Judas Priest. Yeah.
Was
so awesome, man.
Thanks,
And people loved it. My friends that I brought, they're like, oh my God. And they never heard you. They didn't know who you were. Then it's like, that singer, he's just amazing.
How cool.
Yeah,
That's sweet.
so
Thank
it
you.
was super cool. And it was such a fun show. You guys came out down on the floor, and, you know, the guitar player, he was amazing.
It's a different dynamic, right? Than
Yeah.
a metal show.
Yeah.
I usually, there were my years where I would go down, you know, into the mosh pit, but not lately.
No.
And the best part,
busted. So.
Last time I did, we were on tour with Smartest and Hatchet.
Yeah. Oh,
The
it's brutal.
guitar player from Hatchet just jumped in there and he went into the mosh pit with the guitar.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, dude, he's gonna get swooped like so hard right now. This dude was running towards him. I was like, dude, I gotta shield him, man. He's gonna get whooped. So I went ready before the guy would get to him. And I got whooped so hard, bro. But I saved him.
Oh, good.
But I'll never forget. I ate shit hard. On that one.
man.
Yeah, I totally did.
And speaking of tours, I want to ask you about the tours you have been doing, but I want to ask you, Gabriel, first. The first tour you did was with Evergrey and Sabaton. You were opening for them.
Right out of high school, man. What a
Right.
damn
Crazy.
And do you have a fun story to tell about when you got to the airport for the first?
Oh yeah, yeah. The very first off, the very first thing I discovered about flights is that you can't show up 20 minutes before your flight. I thought it was like a Greyhound bus. So their flight's at 6 a.m. and I'm like 5:40. That's 20 minutes. I got like 20 minutes to kill, and my dumbass shows up with a half stack, like a 4x12 cab and a head. And I
Flying.
yeah, I read the website. You know, it says you could get 2 check-ins.
Yeah.
So I'm like, check-in 1, check-in 2, and I bring it to the counter, and the lady's like, "Not only are you super late, you're not going to catch your flight. Your bags aren't going to make it. But while you're here, we'll try to reschedule you for like the next flight because you just." I was like 18, and she could see that I didn't know, and that I was like really sad that I missed my first show, and she was just like, "So, we're gonna try our best to help you out, but let's measure your equipment while we're here." And she pulls out the tape measure and does all this, and I'm just thinking like, why is she doing that? And I didn't realize that there's restrictions to weight, to size. So after she does the whole thing, she's like, "Yeah, that will be $600 one way." And I was like, $600, and I started doing the math. So you're telling me it's gonna be $1,200 round trip to take that? That's like what this amp's worth, you know? She's like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you, but your flight's being rescheduled for tomorrow. Just now you know how much it's gonna cost. Okay. So I went home thinking, damn, well, what can I get for $1,200 that it will fit in my backpack? Yeah. And that was the first time I ever went digital. So I bought one of those like Line 6 modeler things at the time. You know, it was like the highest tech at the time. And when I got to the tour, everyone was like, where's your head? I was like, what? And everyone's like, oh no, you're using one of these things, you know? So that was like the first red flag. I get there and working with all these international people. I was playing for a band at the time called Blackguard. Yeah. And just jumped in their van and did a whole North American tour. The headliner at the time was, it was a co-headlining. It was Evergrey and Sabaton. Yeah. And
my Swedish brothers.
Yeah, to tour with people from I'm a Mexican American kid who's like not been exposed at all to the world, and then you throw me in a tour with a bunch of Europeans, and I'm touring in a van with the French Canadians. Like that's the band I was playing for from Montreal. That was a very eye-opening experience in my life. To be
I
like,
bet. Imagine walking in the green room, everybody's naked, and how are you doing? It's all right.
Yeah, they're on another level.
From Europe, we get naked around each other, and this is what we do.
They're drinking like. From the moment they wake up, these dudes are partying, and I just could not keep up. I just couldn't. But I was like, man, I have a lot. 18. Yeah, I was like, I have a lot of learning to do in this world, and I learned a lot from these guys. And the coolest part about touring with bands like them, especially Blackheart themselves, was they had no mercy on me. Like they didn't take it easy. They were like. Yeah. If you miss van call, we're leaving you, you know, and they straight up almost left me once. And then they weren't like, oh, sorry, you know, next time. No, they were like, that's what you get for being late. Yeah. So immediately I learned how to become professional really fast. You know, so sink or swim kind of thing. Yeah. And then I've kind of tried to take that mentality and that hard work ethic from the dudes in Blackheart. I learned a lot from them and try to apply it into Immortal and everything I do. It's like, if you're gonna do it, you got to do it right. Yeah. If you're not gonna do it right, leave. Don't be here. You know, like, you're not supposed to be here.
And that's being a professional, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That's
go pro or go home. You know.
Right. And speaking of tours, I mean, I know you have been on multiple tours, but talk to me about the Marty Freeman tour.
Oh yeah, that's
amazing.
To this day, that's still probably my favorite tour, just because. The kind of audience that Marty brings is very music heavy lovers. You know, they're more guitar oriented fans than they are like, I guess something else. You know, so
yeah, I would call it intelligent music.
Yeah, intelligent music.
But it's I don't know if that could be read so wrong. So please don't read me wrong. This is in a good way. But But we did. Being in the same bus, you know, with the crew, with his band, with all the Japanese people, right? So,
he still lives there, right?
Yes, so many years now, right? Yeah. And so we learned a lot of Japanese, I guess. Oh, okay. That tour, that was one thing.
That was awesome, being on the bus with them and being like, this is Cheetos, and they're like, this is da da da, you know. So we're like exchanging snacks and
cool.
different things from our cultures, and they're showing me what they listen to when they go home on like the TV on the bus, and we're showing them what we like, and it was a really it's just like the first tour I did. Like, it's such an eye-opening experience when you tour with people from other countries.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, once again, like the theme of the record, we're all the same. Doesn't matter where we're from. Once you start getting to know someone after like a month like that, you're like, I know you're from Japan, and I know we share almost nothing in common with how we grew up, but we're all the same. We all love the same stuff.
Yeah.
We all think the same. We all, you know, are passionate about the same things. So
that's
yeah,
so
that
cool.
was a really cool experience.
Yeah.
And then Marty himself is just like the
Super
nicest
cool.
dude ever.
Yeah, man.
Very patient, very nice.
After the tour, when they headed to the European leg of the tour,
Yeah.
we saw online several pictures where he was wearing the Immortal Guardian shirt.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, that was super cool, man. Representing and whatnot.
so happy.
Yeah.
This one.
Like this guy.
That one, no, not this one, but similar.
Yeah.
The same logo. Yeah.
And what was funny about the tour is on day one, he called me Carlos and him Gabriel.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was like day one, you know, we were like, holy crap, we're on a bus with Marty
And
Freeman.
we both did not correct him. I mean, how can we correct Marty Freeman? I mean, seriously. Brother
like,
man
hey, Carlos,
created
I'm like,
his
what's up,
own
man?
way to pick the guitar. How can you correct him?
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has such a weird picking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
So that was fun. Just
Yeah.
and then at the very end of the tour, I think he posted a photo of all of us together or something. Like, oh, I'm hanging out, you know. Or no, he posted a photo of me wearing his merch shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Like, check out Carlos of Immortal Guardian. And everyone in the comments, that's Gabriel, that's Gabriel. I'm just like, nope, I'm Carlos now. Don't correct him.
Now.
Carlos Guardian.
Oh, my God.
Gabriel Zema.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
And speaking of tours, I know you guys you're probably going to tour for this album now coming up. Maybe not before the holidays, but how about next year?
Yeah, early next year, we're going to hit the road around springtime, April-ish time. It hasn't been announced yet, so I don't want to give it away. But if you like Marty Freeman and you like, you know, epic guitar playing like that, we're going on tour with another epic guitar legend.
Yes.
And
Cool.
yeah, it's going to be super sick. so,
Legendary.
yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's
I
gonna
can't
be amazing.
wait.
Yeah, another
man.
European. I'll give you that hint. He's European, and it's going to be super epic. So
Yeah.
we can't wait to announce that. And then we're hoping to go to Europe for the first time next year. So this record's coming out not only with our American label M Theory, but it's also coming out in Massacre Records, based out of Germany. So that's definitely going to be bringing us over there. So
And
we're super
also
stoked.
Ward Records in Japan.
Yeah.
As a matter of
so you have
fact, we
3
just
labels now.
recorded. We just recorded one of our songs. That's a surprise.
Yeah.
That's coming out in Japanese. We recorded in Japanese.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Pain in the butt.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, so this one comes out now October 27th here in the US at least.
Yep.
Correct.
Is it
Friday,
the same in Europe and Japan as well?
Japan, yes.
but not in Europe.
Europe's the only date that's coming out December 1st over there, because we kind of signed on with them later.
Okay, got it.
So like
Got it.
December
our
1st,
record
yeah.
is kind of coming along, and then because of like, you know, release schedules and stuff, they're like, the soonest we can do is December 1st. So like, we'll
Right.
take it, you know.
Yeah.
So we're stoked.
And speaking of that, I have 5 copies here of this album, and we're gonna do a giveaway for this album. And the requirements to participate is to subscribe to this YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, and comment on this YouTube video, Super Metal 11.
Oh, I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
And we're going to put this information in the description as well. But again, 5 copies here. We're going to have Carlos and Gabriel sign them
That's
as well. And this is worldwide. We ship to anyone who participates and wins, obviously. I think we're gonna wrap up. Actually, I don't want to hold you guys. I know you're busy. They're recording videos. They are preparing for everything here, and you have your day job as well, meaning
Play more music.
Play more music, yeah.
cover bands. And thanks again for coming out here to our Rockin' Round Table studio and
man.
talking to us.
Thanks
a
for
bit.
having us,
Yeah,
man.
dude. Thank you
we're
so
stoked.
much for having us. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I hope we can do this again soon again after the tour. Maybe we can talk about that.
Yes.
When it's been.
We have some more stories to tell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
Thank you,
Appreciate
brother.
it. Yeah.
Yes. That's what I'm talking about.
And all the socials for Immortal Guardian and these beautiful individuals going to be posted in the description box down below.
I'm Gabriel Guardian
I'm Carlos Zema.
of Immortal Guardian, and you're watching the Rockin' Round Table.
Yes. That's what I'm talking about.